Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the last 2 weeks of November. I hope you are well. I'm using the Night Sun Tarot today. So, if you haven't seen these videos before, I structure them slightly differently to the main monthly reading in so much as we are looking for the lesson. I believe that there is wisdom, or indeed a lesson, contained within every experience or interaction that we have. But sometimes we don't see that because we're bogged down in the minutiae of our day-to-day existence, right? So, as an exercise in perspective, what we do here is take 3 cards and have a look at your current energy. See where you are right now as an energetic snapshot. And then from there, we'll pull 3 cards to find out why you are in this energy in the first place. Now, 100% of the time, it will be showing you something about yourself. But in addition to that, it can also be trying to clear the way in front of you for new things to come in. Perhaps, alerting you to some aspect of your existence that you've not been paying attention to. We won't know until the cards hit the table. But from there, we will pull 3 cards of advice and see if we can't help you navigate this a little bit. If you pull back from a situation just a little bit, sometimes you can get the perspective that you need, and that's the point of these readings. So let's make a start. Where is Virgo right now, please? Thank you. We have the Fool. We have the King of Cups. One more card for Virgo, please. And we have the Queen of Swords. This is interesting because it spans nicely across all the other elements apart from yours. Now, Virgo is an earth sign. It is mutable earth, okay? Interestingly enough, we have the Page of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there, so there is the earth represented. But we've got fire in the Fool, that's Aries energy. We've got water in the Cups, that is Scorpio. And we have this Queen of Swords, which is air and Libra energy. I love this for you, and I love it for a number of reasons, not least because the Fool indicates a new start here, but for you it feels like it feels like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders, right? It's a release of tension more than anything else, and it seems to me that there is a resurgence of trust in something. Now, ideally, we would like that trust to be within yourself, but it feels like it might actually be broader than that. Yes to yourself, and yes to the possibility of there being something out there, something a little bigger that is guiding you, but the trust in the space in between, right? Trusting that you are interpreting these things correctly. What do we have underneath there? We've got the World card. We have Kali. Is it Kali or Shiva? Shiva. Dancing on ignorance. And this is beautiful because whether you realise it or not, Virgo, there's a big portion of your life that's been wrapped up, and it's almost like here what is necessary for you is to notice that, right? I'm not saying that you haven't noticed that something's ended and something new has begun, but rather that you are different, right? And I've said this to you a number of times over this year, like, you are changed, you are different. And for the most part, most people have said, yes, I agree. Things are different. I am changed. That's all cool. But the last trappings of things from the old cycle now are starting to be sloughed away. Because it's an altogether more gentle transition than it feels like ordinarily the World and then the Fool card might indicate. We've got this Page of Pentacles here, like I said, that earth energy, but it's a focusing of attention, right? I see the Pentacles as energetic currency, right? So your time, your care, your effort, your money, your love, all of these things can be Pentacles. And specifically, really, really important, particularly when we are dealing with earth signs, right? But because it's the first rung in the ladder on the court hierarchy, it isn't necessarily that it's a new start altogether. More it is a change, a shift in direction, right? Your life taking a different path to one that you had anticipated and perhaps even planned. There's a certain amount of fluidity and flexibility that I feel being sort of brought in to the way that you deal with things on the day-to-day. Now, for an earth sign, right, granted you are a mutable earth sign, but for an earth sign altogether, that is quite an unusual feeling. But like I said, there seems to have been this release of tension and this resurgence of trust in everything that is now guiding you forwards. Virgos are highly intuitive anyway. I think probably quite underrated. I think most of the earth signs are underrated intuitives. But it feels like something's happened recently that has untethered you, right, in a way that maybe your feet were still slightly shackled to an old way of being. It's almost like something's opened wide up for you, and like the Fool, you are now ready to go into that space and explore it with no preconceptions, with no judgment about how it should be, rather being open to just how it is, right? We've got this King of Cups here indicating Scorpio, and we are in Scorpio season now, but we're also having quite a lot of planetary activation going up there with Mars and with Pluto, both, considered to be ruled by Scorpio. And we've got here such an evolution of your emotion indicated, but with more to go. It's almost like, now what's going on with Pluto is an unveiling, a revealing of things that have always been there that you now see with fresh eyes. But combined with the Mars energy, it's about taking action. Now, the way that it's different, the way that the Page of Pentacles is in here, makes it less about having a plan and sticking to it, which is quite a Virgoan kind of notion anyway. My sister's a Virgo, right? And also my Saturn is in Virgo, so I understand that. But there is, like I said, there's more of this fluidity. There's more of a childlike acceptance that things will come along and that they are interested and they are to be explored. There's almost, I don't know if adventuring is a little bit too strong a word, but certainly there is an openness to new experiences that hitherto were unplanned for. It's almost like the road in front of you is uncharted, and that is okay. That's absolutely fine. Because we've got this Queen of Swords here too. Now, indicating the air element of this reading for you. She's a card that speaks of great discernment, intellectual discernment, right? That ability to be able to sift through information. And Virgos are incredibly analytical, right? So this is something that I would imagine, would be able to resonate with quite strongly. Excuse me. But it's taking all of these elements that are not yours and saying, what can I do with these? Almost even noticing that they are there and in operation within you. It's almost like the earth sign. All right, I know the earth sign of me. I am an earth sign. That's okay. What are the other elements offering me at this time? How can I open up new layers of my life with the use of these elements, right? With my now, really quite extraordinary level of emotional maturity that I have here. And that's been hard won through, navigating very difficult, challenging experiences. But this Queen of Swords, I feel, is helping you put everything in the right place in your head. And sometimes you can see this sort of crossover between the wands and the swords, indicating experience. The wands suit, the fire element, is all about the act of experiencing it there at that time. But then the swords is almost that reflective energy, reflecting on the experiences and going, okay, right, so this happened, and maybe it was shit, probably was shit, but what have I taken from this? What have I learned from this? How do I transcend this experience and take what has been very, very painful and put it into something really, really positive? Right, let's have a look and see why you are in this energy at the moment. Why is Virgo in this energy, please? Okay, so we have 3 cards. We have the 5 of Pentacles right there. We have the Hanged Man. And then we have the Queen of Cups. That's wonderful. So that's Cancer energy right there. But we also have 5 of Pentacles. What's that? Taurus. There you are, the Hermit at the bottom of the deck. And we have Pisces with the Hanged Man. Now, the 5 of Pentacles is a card of poverty. Like that's the meaning of this card. It is poverty, lack. It is not having those basic things that you need, not meeting your own basic needs in all sorts of ways, right? Or a fear of those things. And for you, Virgo, it's quite understandable that you would have a fear of lack, right? And I'm not talking in a financial sense, although for some of you that might be the case. More it is the lack of stability, the lack of things that you need to move on. The thing is, you've been flying without a net for quite some time now, Virgo. And again, I'm sort of coming back to this notion of you noticing how you've been doing life for a while now and how different it is to the way that you had things charted out before, you know? And then we have this Hanged Man here, a card that speaks about wisdom gained for looking at the world from a different perspective. You know, it can speak of sacrifice and it can speak of submission to things. But where that is relevant, really, the submission and the sacrifice, they've sort of happened holistically. It's not something that you set out to do. It's just something that circumstances brought to your door, and it's like, well, I can't do things the way that I used to do them, so I'm going to do them a different way. And you've been doing this for quite a long time now, and suddenly this is your default experience. That net that was so important to you before is a little less important now in terms of where you go forwards, because you have allowed things to flow in the way that they wanted to flow. You know, you spent so long on processing your emotions. And we can see that here. I mean, the 3 court cards that we've got on the table here, King of Cups, Queen of Cups. But this Queen of Swords acting as an intermediary between the two. Intermediary, is that the right place? I mean, she's taking the input of both of the Cups hierarchy cards here and going, yes, right? It's the translation of the emotional into the cerebral. Like, what do I feel and how do I make this something that I know, right? I know to be true. This is my fundamental truth. Because we know, as well as this being your card, it is a card of going within. Because all of the answers that you could ever need to anything, Virgo, exist within you. So sometimes I feel like the cave is a really useful place for Virgos, because you are so sensitive. Really, really sensitive. And like, some of you are emotionally sensitive, but some of you on top of that are also physically sensitive to your environment. Some of you don't like noise. Some of you do. Some of you react very badly to frequencies and things like this, you know. Too much Wi-Fi in the air and things like that. You know, as an earth sign, you do very well when you're away from those distractions, away from the noise, away from the busyness, you know. And to that end, then the cave proves to be a useful place for you, so that you can actually get in touch with what it is that you feel. Because sometimes it's quite hard to hear it over the noise, you know. But this King and Queen here, as well as representing the active masculine and the receptive feminine aspects of water emotional energy, they're also pointing me towards the possibility of a new openness within you. We've got the balance there between the two. We've got the masculine and the feminine sitting in balance, which is what we need, it's what we like, right? But your current energy is active, right? You are in an active state of reflecting on your emotions, getting in touch with your emotions, processing things, right? We see this here, very, very active, both of this, right? But the reason why you're in here at the moment is the Queen of Cups, which is receptivity, right? Queens are receptive, cups are receptive. This is receptive squared, right? It's the most receptive card in the deck. And so there's a question here that is starting to arise in me, which I will, present to you in terms of where your own basic needs have been met. What is the degree to which it is that you have blocked the possibility of the things that you need coming towards you? For some of you, it might have been an over-reliance on yourself, right? Just being so independent that none can approach. For others of you, it may have come from a place of anxiety. It may have come from a lack of trust, a loss of faith in yourself. That it seems to me that you are transcending, realizing, just as we see here with this hanged man there, that your head has been in a cage of your own creation for some time. What is really beautiful about this is that it does speak to new things coming towards you. Right? When you approach everything with the energy of the Fool, right, you cannot help but attract these new things in. And the last remnants of the ways in which you have cut yourself off at the knees are now starting to fall away. That's what I'm trying to say here. Oh God, I'm so nosy. Let's make these readings go on far, far longer than they should do. I'm gonna pull another couple of extra cards. Tell me more about this Five of Pentacles, please. Thank you. Was exactly what I was saying, right? Mental restriction. Where have you caused that cage to be around your neck, your head? Where have you kept yourself mentally restricted? Because whatever has happened recently has blown a hole in that cage, almost to the degree where you suddenly realize that it's there. And this is all about freeing up what is trapped, what is stuck, what belongs in an old cycle and does not have a place in the new cycle. Thank you. Yeah. So we've got the Page of Cups, right? This is an emotional journey for you. There's no shadow of a doubt to me here. But it's noticing where the swords and the cups have a dialogue. And where one overreacts to the other, right? Rather than there being a conversation here, rather than there being a translation of things that you feel into things that you know, and that being a solid column in the middle of your existence, it seems to me like there's been a tension for quite a long time. So there will be things that you intellectually know, but you can't make your emotions match up to them, What we've got going on here is a way where your emotions are saying one thing and your mind is going, that's interesting, let me sit with that. Okay, yeah, I feel that. And because we've got such cards of growth going on for you here, emotional growth, we've got that change in direction indicated by the page, away from the Eight of Swords and to something altogether more beautiful. It's interesting how a bus going past. It's interesting that what we've got here in both instances are animals that are symbolic of transformation, right? So we've got there a caterpillar which has, wrapped itself up in its cocoon, and we know that what's going to happen is at some point when that's reconstructed itself inside that cocoon, it's going to crack open and out is going to be released the most amazing butterfly, right? Literally an animal that has changed itself from an earth-dwelling creature to an air-dwelling creature. But we also have the same thing here, because that's a signet. And we all know the story of the ugly duckling, right? The duckling who could not fit in with the world. The duckling that all the other ducklings said was really, really hideous. Like, ew, what are you? You're not a duckling. You're not pretty like us, you know. Because, plot twist, turns out it was never a duckling anyway. It was a signet. And what do signets turn into? They turn into swans. It's another story of transformation. And for you, it's kind of looking in that water there and seeing your own colourful reflection, seeing the potential of what it is that you can become. I mean, the Fool is nothing if not that point of absolute infinite potential. This is numbered 0. From here, anything that you could possibly want is available to you if you can take the steps towards those and relinquish the chains of your mind, the ways in which your mind is caged, and get it to sync up with your emotions. You know? Let's just pop those back there a second. My 3 more cards for advice, please. Virgo. Thank you. We have the 3 of Pentacles. Fuck. Well, that's just a fuck ton of cards. I'll show you what we've got. We've got the 5 of Swords, which has come out in reverse. We've got the Ace of Swords, 2. We've got the Hermit card, again, obviously. And we've got the 7 of Wands showing up in the reverse as well. Like, there are barriers, Virgo, that you put up against the world to keep yourself safe, right? So if we use the metaphorical cage, you know, that is in some way a barrier to the rest of the world, because when you feel under threat, you retreat to the cave. But there will be lots of other kind of like micro boundaries that you've got up everywhere. And they're defences against old threats. They're defences that an old version of you needed to put in place to keep yourself safe. And the overriding theme of the reading here is that you have changed, your circumstances have changed, and that which was a threat to you at some point in the past no longer exists. So why do the barriers remain, you know? The 4 of Swords and the Tower there. So fuck it, we'll take those. One more card, please. Thank you. We've got the Knight of Pentacles. There you are, Virgo. We have the Magician at the bottom of the deck. Now, that is a card of Gemini, but it is also sometimes a card of Virgo here. Now, we've got you here in a 3D sense with the Knight of Pentacles, but we also have that unlimited potential that the Magician can harness to manifest for himself that which he desires to see into the world. And for you, it's like, what kind of life do you want now? It's Ace of Wands is behind that, and the Empress is behind that, and the Death card is behind that. I mean, the messages here are coming through thick and fast, Virgo. It is about the changes that you desire to make. Like I said, the astrology that we find ourselves sat in at the moment is very, very supportive of blowing up anything old at all. And certainly for most of you, I feel like you will have had some sort of experience recently that has kind of really opened your eyes to something, right? Whether it is the boundaries and the restrictions of your life, maybe it is the boundaries and restrictions of people that you are around, or whether it is those that exist within you. You know, kind of like, why do I stop myself from doing these things? How can I spread my wings? How can I allow myself to develop into the swan that I've always been destined to be? Removing the internal barriers, right? So, as cards of advice go, we have here the 3 of Pentacles. That is a card of building with other people, right? It's teamwork, it's collaboration. It says to me that the people that are around you at the moment, Virgo, are supposed to be there. And, you know, we could go as far as to say they are soul tribe, right? Soul family, that's entirely possible. But there's definitely something available to you within the community that you find yourself in whatever sense that applies. You know, when I say community, when I say soul tribe, whoever those people are that you think about when I say those words, that's who we're referring to. That can help you not only build and grow yourself, but actually come together and build and grow something that is even more significant, even more important than you know, just your own soul growth. And that is incredibly important, you know. So it's like the whole is more than the sum of its parts. So that newfound trust that you have, whether it be in yourself or something higher than yourself, the space in between, it might not be a bad idea to start extending that to people that feel like soul tribe to you too. We've got the Four of Swords and the Tower. And I think this is a really interesting message, because we know what the Tower is and we know how it terrifies the shit out of most people, right? It's that sudden, shocking energy of everything going wrong. It is, for you, a card of catastrophizing, which is not the same thing as reacting to a situation that has gone wrong, right? It is upfront being terrified that something's going to go wrong when there is little to no indication that it's going to do so. Well, what we have here is the Four of Swords. We have a making of peace with one's predisposition towards catastrophizing, right? There's a detachment from that. Now, I'm not saying that you will be able to solve that issue for yourself overnight, but certainly an awareness that it is something that you have a predisposition towards goes a long way to sort of giving you that opportunity to check yourself and stop when, you know, it feels like the sky is falling, when it feels like the swords are about to start springing up from the ground and spearing you. I kind of stop and go, well, like, where am I? Am I safe? I am safe. I'm good, you know? I have my sanctuary, I have the cave. I can retreat to that at any time, should I choose to. Do I need to bring this fear, this catastrophizing, to every aspect of my life as I, you know, walk around in the day-to-day? Or should I spare myself, you know, the stress and the exhaustion, and instead, you know, focus on what is right in front of me? Focus on, in fact, cultivating the peace over the Tower, like that, you know? Well, the last card that we've got, like I said, is the Knight of Pentacles. Small steps towards whatever it is that you want to bring in for yourself, Virgo. You know, if you were to write a list of what you wanted to do with yourself. So here's the thing, right? I read this thing once. It was really, really cool. Well, shit. If you're trying to work out, you know, what you want to do with your life, right? We all know that following your passions is a cool thing. So I read a list and it said, write 20 things down that really light you up, that you really, really enjoy. And then cross off that list the bottom, I don't know, 16, I think it was. And what you have left at the top, those 4 things, they are your passions. Those are the things that light you up. Those are the things that make you enjoy being alive. And focus your attention on those. And do you know what? I actually did that. And I wasn't really surprised by what came out, but at the same time, I kind of was surprised, because I was like, well, I knew that. Why did I not know that? You know, I felt that. Why didn't I know that? Do you see where I'm going with this one? But it's all about you, Virgo. Like, what comes next, honestly, is a little bit up in the air, because it entirely revolves around what you choose to bring towards you. You know? Where you can focus on the things that are, for you, tremendously exciting, then that's cool. Right? That's a good guide right there. But we've got, let's say, Magician, Virgo. We've got the Ace of Wands. We've got Taurus with the Empress, and we've got Scorpio with the Death card here. Now, we are literally just about to go into an eclipse season that sees a whole stream of eclipses happening across this Taurus-Scorpio axis. And it's all about blowing out what is no good for you and really cultivating with, you know, a sense of great gratitude and you know, a desire for true abundance with Taurus. What do you want, Virgo? What do you want and how do you bring it towards you? How do you leave behind what needs to be left behind? Right, you know, and maybe part of the task here is even identifying what those things are. And then perhaps just let yourself wander a little bit, because it seems like the things are going to find you. But what we're working on is getting you into a place of receptivity. You know, the Hanged Man is a very, very passive card too. Both of these are water, Cancer and Pisces respectively. It's about receptivity. It's about being ready to receive whatever comes in. I think this is really, really cool energy that you're in at the moment, Virgo, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to leave it there. I really hope that this was useful to you. Know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.